Good evening once again. Happy to see a huge number of participants entering into the webinar room. Kindly mute your audio and turn off your video during the sessions. Join the webinar meeting in your name because mail ID may not reflect the name and department, and mention your department and type the same in the chat box. During this webinar session, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat window. On your behalf, moderator will raise your questions to the resource person. Kindly submit your feedback immediately at the end of the session, which is mandatory to receive the participation certificate. All the participants will be provided an e-certificate at the end of every day after submitting the feedback form. Those who attend all the 6 days webinar program will be given an additional FTP certificate. Whenever you experience any connection problem, kindly click the link or use the meeting ID and password to enter into the webinar room. Please don't annotate at the time of webinar.
Check, mic check. Check, mic check. Check, check, mic check.
Hello everyone, good evening. Sir, can we start now? Or should we wait for some more time?
Mr. Naveen, good evening.
Hello sir, good evening.
Yeah. Good evening to one and all. Evening is a good time to look back at the day and think about all the good things you have done. I wish you an evening full of satisfaction and inspiration. Happy evening to all. The objective of this series of FTP is to serve a wide range of students and academicians having the thirst in enhancing their knowledge even at the critical times. Hope everyone is aware and safe in home. I cordially welcome each one of you to this first day of the webinar series. Today's topic is data analytics. On behalf of St. Xavier's College, once again, I welcome all the participants. I take them huge pleasure to welcome the speaker of this day, Mr. Naveen Karunagaran, Assistant Manager, HCL Chennai, who was very gracious in accepting my invitation. Now, I welcome Professor Geeta to moderate the session.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to all. I'm delighted Delighted to moderate this session, and let me introduce the speaker of this session, Mr. Naveen Karnakar. He is working in HCL Technologies as a member of digital marketing and web analytics team. He is having a wide range of experience in the IT sector by holding various capacities as program coordinator, program manager for strategic initiatives, member of program governance, data analytics, and business development lead and execution lead. Both in his academics and profession, he has bagged many awards, very particularly saying the American Geo Hurdle 2017 Certificate of Appreciation for Exceptional Contributions Towards Automation Initiative, Appreciation for Outstanding Contribution Towards Delivery Management in MSIT, Center Stage Award for 100% compliance and positive feedback from delivery unit heads, and member of Infinity League for outstanding performance in 4 consecutive years. On our department and college behalf, I extend a cheerful welcome to you, sir. I hope that you'll quench our thirst on data analytics. Now the session is yours, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for that introduction. Team, it's a pleasure meeting you all. As one of the speakers for the webinar series, and that too on a day one, it's really a great privilege to share some thoughts on data analytics. So, having said that, this is no more a classroom session, right? So where you need to just listen and maybe at the end of the day you can ask questions. So it is an interaction in my perspective. So anytime you can interrupt and come up with questions if you have any, or else if you want to take it towards the end, feel free to ask me any queries that you have. Okay, so let's let me share my screen. Okay, so hope my screen is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Kindly write
So
the participant annotation, sir.
sure. Okay, so what does this topic data analytics remind you of? And maybe you would have heard about this term anywhere in your college, or I know in your workplace, anywhere. Because right now anything and everything is getting driven by data analytics, right? So right from businesses to government agencies have adopted this culture, and probably they have witnessed success also. There might be, it's a right to predict, saying that data analytics is not yielding 100% success because you predict certain things. Because people always, when you talk about data analytics, their mind gets inclined towards only future prediction on what is going to happen next. So I wanted to change that perspective of yours. It's not always marching towards the future, and probably it will give you an insight of what's going to happen next, but certainly it's not the only one way to approach data analytics. Okay, so for example, there will be many cricket fans here, and probably in the recent 2019 World Cup also, there were many eyebrows raised when India were not getting into finals, because probably when we have so much of data in hand, right, we tend to predict who's going to be the finalist, who's the winner, and all that. And all eyes were pointing towards us reaching the finals, but it was not to be, right? So there are some drops, there were some ups and downs in the field of data analytics, but certainly the current world has adopted this culture, and probably they've found the best medicine for all the failures that we have had in the past, right? So let me get into this topic right away. As a computer science engineer, I think most of you are from computer engineering background, right? So for all of you, this topic should be one of the most, what to say, the next to look up to, right? So after your probably engineering course, I'm sure that at least 10% of this layer would obviously step into analytics, data analytics, or any form of analytics in that perspective, right? So it's very important for you all. Pay some keen focus for at least next few minutes, right? So what is data analysis in your insight? So one is, any data which can be recorded, right, which can be recorded, and from where you can draw insights, it is called as analytics, right? So I mean, you might come up with any such scenarios where you have data in place. Probably it is unstructured also. Probably you will have, something has happened day before yesterday and you have made note of it. And if you are making it as an habit, a series of, say for example, you go to a shop, purchase something, you get it billed in your name, right? When you're doing it as a series in a day-to-day basis, in a month's time span, in a quarterly span, in a year span, then you yourself will have a chunk of data, and you will have bills that you cannot even hold, right? Because that kind of, when you bring in perspective to this, and when you say that, today I'm purchasing so and so, in weekends I do purchase this item, so you will be able to predict a customer behavior also based on that. So analytics is, this is the basic form of analytics, right? You can see it in your home, home culture, you can see it in a business culture. And probably business has marketed this so much that we speak only about data analytics in business, but this is everywhere. That's what I'm trying to say here, right? So this is all what to say, a description of it, so you all can go through this. Probably at the end of the session also I can share this slides with you, so that's not an issue. Okay, so one of the quick facts that I wanted to bring to your notice is, see, in a day, right, 2.5 quintillion of data, bytes of data is getting recorded, right? Recorded, and unrecorded you'll have millions. So I mean, quintillion, many would be surprised, no, you would have heard about million, billion, and what's quintillion is nothing but 1,000 trillion bytes of data. So you can imagine what chunk of data that is, right? So out of this entire recorded data, right, 90% of data was recorded in the last 2 years only, and about 77 billion US dollars. This industry is worth so much because big data, data analytics, cloud has emerged as one of the leading industries right now. And it is also ruling the world currently, right? So let me go to the other slide. So we have looked up what is data analytics and why you want data analytics, right? So one of the foremost thing is, with the growing competition in any domain, in any industry, or I mean, in any field that you take this as, right? So in the growing competition, you certainly want to stand ahead and certainly better than your competitor. And only the better decision making can help in driving the result, correct? So data analytics is one such thing where which can help you to do that. And probably, better team, better strategy towards this would help to shape this much better, actually, right? The second is, with data analytics you can drive key initiatives, key strategic initiatives. I mean, so you would have heard about what automation is, right? So something where you do not need any manual touch point. Automation, optimization, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all these key strategic initiatives are adopted by IT firms. If not IT firms, I mean, there are many cloud-based companies that have emerged as market leaders in this domain, and they certainly need some key initiatives like this. And certainly you need a perspective to think about what data analytics is, and you need some data to really draw some insights, right? So uh, you know but to build on top of it, and to create another layer where you can advise teams of what to do and what to not to do, and that is where these key strategic initiatives come into play, right? The next is building a better relationship with your customer. Yes, obviously data speaks, and whenever you approach a customer, you obviously he'll certainly come up with questions like, what is the revenue on my table, right? What is the cost impact that your initiative or your strategy is going to make? So certainly for to draw insights like this, you certainly need data, and this will help you to create a better relationship with the customer for sure. And yeah, obviously you can sense risk, right? So what is a challenges, and what is a risk on plate for me if I do this, if I don't do this, and what I'm going to get in hand. And so that is very important to know in advance, so you shape yourself. And better financial performance, yeah, obviously it does, because obviously the number speaks. So whatever hard work that you put through, right? So obviously at the end of the day, the management is going to ask, so what is my revenue, what is the cost impact? So certainly this is certainly in relation to the earlier point that we have discussed also. Okay, so the next is, you certainly wanted to identify a growth opportunity, right? You wanted to streamline your investment, and you certainly want to identify those key areas where you can obviously invest, and make your team to learn much more in that area. So you need these opportunities for sure. You need to know these opportunities. Okay. So any doubts here, or I advise all of you to go on mute, please. Thank you. Okay, so people obviously, for obvious reasons, they confuse between what data analytics is and what data analysis is, right? So to be very straight to the point, and I mean, there are multiple points that have been charted here. So I'll just give you two straight, simple difference between these two. Analytics is more towards, predicting the future forecast, also keeping in mind the present behavior, and the actions which can make the results look better, and that's what drives this data analytics, right? So but data analysis is more into a detailed study of what has happened already, and probably this focuses on only the recovery plan. So okay, well, something has happened, so what do I do next? So but data analytics is more oriented towards what is going to happen next, and it gives a future insight, obviously. And also it is an end-to-end package scenario, where you have say for example, if you want to study about a material, right, so you will have a complete visibility of what has happened from the very beginning till the very end. So that is what the insight that this brings to you. Okay, so the other point that is very important is to understand what kind of data is available with you, right, to make any strategic decision. So this is very important. So few firms do start at a very ground level because they do not have any structure in place. Say for example, government agencies, when they started, right, imagine, when you run a bigger portfolio like Indian Railways, where you have nothing to record initially. You do not have a database, you do not have a system in place, right? Everything goes on a ledger, everything you keep record books. So how many record books do you create as such? So right now, even if your organization fails to have a proper documented database, at least data in any form is okay, because you should have data in any form. That is very key and important thing, right? So for example, a structured and unstructured data, what does it you can obviously see a transition, right? So if you see that structured, unstructured, and semi-structured are the three categories we have, and unstructured to semi-structured, we had this small transition where these companies were adopting to Excel based technologies, right? So some companies had, okay, let me not get into the details of it, but let me at least have an advanced version of Excel thinking, so that I'll have some data in place for my company, so based on which you are able to draw many insights. So that is what is very much required here, right? So as no time has emerged, the structured data came in place, and with structured data there was so much of analytics into it, right? One is Excel sheets are no more considered as one of the key skills, and if you are like if you are thinking like I'll put Microsoft Excel as one of my skill to showcase to you during your interviews, then you are probably looking at an outdated skill for yourself, right? So Excel is already got replaced by so much of data visualization tools like Tableau, Power BI, and all that, where you have online visualization of data and insight drawn data by drilling into each chart. Right, people have started to create a visualization of minute information also. So that is where these online visualization tools and all come into play, and your learning should also be focused on that front. Okay, so obviously you will have a big learning, because this transition has not happened just like that, right? So it took a lot of time, and for you also to adopt to this kind of a learning and move towards where are we, so that takes a huge leap. And you, something like, you'll have to invest a lot of hours of learning here, but certainly you can move towards this, because as you see, there is a scope for learning. This is scope, because if you see, the unstructured data is 80% of industrial data still unstructured, which means that I have 80% of scope to improve my knowledge and learnings. Okay, so what are the types of analytics that you have, right? So one is to, when I draw insight to what analytics is and know how it has got implemented in the market, there are also different types of analytics which people are able to jot down based on the growth that the pattern of growth that it has shown. So there might be a complexity layer and also a business value layer, but we need not be too much focused on it, because we have only 4 layers, and we have only 4 types of analytics where data can be grouped into right now. So one is descriptive analytics, right? So you will be actually able to see your current performance of the resources. This is more focused towards the visualization aspect, right? So the next one is diagnostic analysis, where you go a step ahead and you identify the root cause for my failure, or why is there a drop in my performance, what I should need to do in order to get this improved. So when you do all this kind of analysis of a ground layer, which is where something has gone wrong, so that is called as a diagnostic analysis, right? So the other is a predictive analytics, where you feel like we have talked about this in the previous slides also, right? You forecast the future trend, and also you blend the current ways of operation, so that is more important. So the current ways of operation, if it is successful, you cannot make too much changes to it. I mean, you cannot read into your competitor's success and then make too much of changes in a hurry, but certainly you need some change probably to move forward. So you need to have a proper strategic team in place to probably bring that change and not transition you from a current form to another, which needs a lot of effort, right? So the next one is a prescriptive analytics, sorry. So in the age of artificial intelligence, you follow this method, right? So there might be a very minute difference between a prescriptive analytics and predictive analytics, but in prescriptive analytics, you find chatbots which drive your BAU operation. BAU means, I mean, business as usual, right? So all that you have already have a process in hand, which happens in a series of manner, and you've already identified how it does operate. So you run this through a chatbot, right? So you can learn a lot about these terms that I speak, right? Chatbots and all that. I mean, it does require a high level of your, what to say, your interest as well. But I mean, obviously, if you're interested towards this domain, you can probably learn about all this. Okay, so what does this bring? Where is the difference here? Is mostly inclined towards the use of algorithm. Now in prescriptive analytics, you use a high defined advanced algorithm here, and this not only predicts your future, but in prescriptive analytics, it also recommends your business action, right? So which is very, very essential. Okay, so you have your from where do artificial intelligence stands, and probably everyone thinks, okay, artificial intelligence is something which has come up just like that in a new age and it's ruling the market. No, so somewhere all your deep learning, your machine learning is all accumulated towards this artificial intelligence layer. And it's very important to understand the basics and then move towards the next step, because people know when there are so many courses online, that people get more inclined towards this term, because since everyone is talking about machine learning, since everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, everyone will say like, I want to jump into that right away. No, you start from your basics, right? So if you do not know Python, if you do not know your databases and all that, that will not form your basement for your next level of learning. So you need to start from the base, and probably Python, your R language, your Hadoop, your databases, everything formed your base layer for the next step. Okay. So, from the business perspective, I got inclined towards your educational learning, but probably I wanted to relate this with that. So that's where I try to bring in that example more often here. Okay. So what is a workflow of an analytics? So, what is a step-by-step process here? Right. So one is certainly, data gathering. You need to have proper data in place for you to draw some analysis from it. And the key point here is, I need to know my business statement. It is not that I need to use analytics for the sake of using it. Without a proper justified business statement and a problem statement from your business, from your organization, you will not be able to drive this, right? So but before even stepping into analytics, there's another perspective here. You need to have a proper data cleansing mechanism in place. Probably you'll have to transform the data that you have in hand to something which can yield you results of next sense. For example, there might be a different format used in terms of representing a certain data, which we will not be able to even proceed to the next step. You can find this more often in Excel when you use Excel, right? A million can be represented in any form. Some will use M, some will use the full form of a million, and some would use a complete USD form to represent a million. But all of that has to be right, so cleansed before you probably move to the next step. So next step is mostly algorithm selection. You would have learned much more about this in your courses, right? So this is not a new domain for you. Data model building is something you need to know. What tool is that I'm going to use for data visualization? So you need to draw a basic knowledge from that. And how do I deploy this model? And who is going to be my end users? Do they have this same model in place? So will they be able to adapt to this model? So probably the next level of layer is all focused towards like UI and reporting, dashboarding, and all that. So once that is all completed, you got to have a proper monitoring mechanism in place. Unless you have a proper management, a office to manage your entire backup data, things will get weird, because everyone is going to have access to this. Probably everyone is going to use this, and if there's no monitoring in place, then it's very difficult to contain the users actually. Okay, so based on this, you can probably build insights, business insights, certainly something which we have been talking about from the very start. So this is not a new word that I've used here. So we all must be knowing at present. Okay, so what does it impact? How does it really transform your data set, a basic data set, right? Say, for example, we have tons and tons of data in hand. So all of this gets accumulated as a big data on cloud, right? So you have so much of data, like it's all you speak about. Right now, I have so much of, for example, let's take a simple example on your Gmail, right? You have so much of emails, your files, your folders, everything gets saved on a Google Drive, so which occupies some space. There is a storage to it. But where does the space get created? It's not like it's just getting created anywhere and everywhere that you open. No, you have a proper data center at Google, where you'll be given a storage space, and out of which out of the entire world is getting access, do you have a space there to store your entire data where you get uh, that's a simple form of using a cloud, right? So where you'll have access to data on a cloud. So that is what you called as a nowadays since this term uh, got used in a much more wider forum, people name the online storage space as cloud itself, right? OneDrive clouds and all this have emerged right now. So how this entire big data, or a piece of data, tons of data, how it gets transformed through an analytics using a data visualization, right? And how do you bring an artificial intelligence to it to make a proper decision is what makes it a complete uh, output, right? So that's what gives you a complete output. It's not that any company which has big data can emerge successful. No, any data that has a analytics tool can emerge successful. No, it will not happen. But probably if you're able to have big data in place, analytics in place, and if you're able to draw proper insights from it, and you're able to make decisions which probably depends on your data, and you can drive it, and that's where your organization becomes successful. So that's what I mean. Only a proper decision making club with the earlier part will make it much more complete. Okay, so now the next part, let's look into the industrial applications. So where and all data analytics plays a major role, right? So yes, obviously you'll have wide range of applications, and more towards manufacturing. Say for example, let's take an automobile industry. Right from manufacturing an automobile to managing a vendor of the supply chain from where you get the raw materials, right? So right from managing it, and to once the product is complete, you will hand it over to the retailer dealer, that probably to build that connect, and understanding a purchase behavior post even selling your vehicle. And also servicing also plays a major role here. You need to have a proper service management in place. For to get this complete system in place, you need data analytics for sure, right? So I mean, this is a simple day-to-day example what we've gone through. And in medical field, there's no questions here. Many is being said and done about the recent COVID-19 predictions, and the recovery methods which the government and many officials have suggested, right? We have also a use case based on this, so I'm not spending too much of time here. So the next one is, we have much more focus towards data analytics in banking and financial sector, right? So data analytics helps to prevent many fraudulent transactions. Your stock market prediction, your investment strategies on is another classic example. And those who are investing in stock markets, and you probably would know how big the game of data analytics there is, right? The other is retail and supply chain. And now here data analytics is all over the place, right? From analyzing a customer behavior, analytics can also change the phase of a purchase behavior, because I mean your product marketing completely revolves around the data, right? Say for example, if I wanted to sell my any product which is already nearing my expiry date, you probably talk to customers on terms of only discounts and offers, for which you probably need this analytics in place. So this is also very critical actually. Okay, so now let's, in the next forum, I'm just focusing on IT, because I'm not sure how much, since you are all computer engineering students, I guess most of you would land up here. So that's what I wanted to have as one slider on what analytics and IT operation is, right? So there are two aspects to it. One is an infrastructure monitoring, and another is an application monitoring. Yeah, even if you do not have a team such as data analytics in place, you probably would need analytics or data to predict your system outages, and also the workforce management. How well do my resource perform, right? So you certainly need the performance metrics to be calculated, to be monitored, to be evaluated, and probably in the next step, you can also predict what they can give in the next few days, right? So things have grown that far, right? So I mean, it obviously, when you are a beginner, right, when you're trying to land up into an IT firm as a probably a developer, as a coding engineer, right, even to reduce the code complexity, you have this analytics in place, right? So if you are probably landing up in any data center oriented job, there also you need to have some analytics in place to predict any instant criticality that is happening there, and probably to analyze the trend of it, you certainly need this data analytics in place, right? So I hope I'm not getting too much technical where you're not able to understand things, and probably have a few more slides which might interest you as well, right? So this is one of the use cases which I want all of you to have a clean observation here. Okay, so in Uber, right? So Uber has used data analytics to prevent fraudulent activities, right? So there's been a lot of discounts and offer codes that has been floating around, correct? So people use this as an opportunity, right, to create multiple accounts where they can use this discount and then throw that account off, and probably Uber has effectively used data analytics to prevent and identify it. And you would have seen that how they've transitioned from the beginning stage to till now. You would have seen a huge leap in their approach towards the customers, right? So that's what we're going to see in this use case. So hopefully you will have your videos enabled, right, to have closer look at this. So I'll play the video now. Let me know if you're not. You can hear the audio as well, right?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
The audio is not heard.
1 second.
Hi, my name is Tal, and I'm going to be speaking about using analytics
Is it audible now?
Not audible.
Okay, thank you.
to stop fraud by understanding risk team. I have such as Wells Fargo, and then observe these loss trends.
You can hear the audio, right? Or is there any issue in the audio?
It's not that much clear, sir.
Okay, so maybe probably what I'll do is after the session, I'll share this case study with you. So probably you can have a look, because I thought that the audio is clearer. Let me know if it is not clear, so that we don't have to spend much time there, right?
Okay, sir, let's proceed.
Okay. So it's totally not clear, or how is it?
It's not at all clear, sir.
Okay, so probably I'll share the link after this session. Probably you can have a look at it. Okay, so you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, what has Uber done here is, and probably they have adopted a strategy of, probably if you go through the video, I'll share the link with you all after the session. You will have more time to probably have, a focused look at it. And probably I also have a few more important slides to cover, right? Which you might be interested in. So let's not probably focus on this too much. I'll give you a link so you'll have a time to have a look at it. And so what has Uber done here is, right, so they have probably used clustering and geo mapping probably to identify the fraudulent activity, right? So if you see, I mean, there is a customer behavior analyzed using a time chart. So in which time the customer is actually using the ride, and where in which time zone that he, I mean, so there are time zones where which might pop up where the customers do not even opt for it. So those time zones, like for example, there might be an account which is created in India, but you would probably be using a US time zone to book his travel and all that. So by if they identify such such activity which has nowhere to connect, then they term this as a fraudulent activity, and probably they'll have an investigation team to have a look at this. So they have already closed millions of accounts as such. And no, I think that no, the outcome is probably resulting in their favor, right? So they can obviously get more customer credibility based on this, and they can also have a reduced fraudulent behavior. So probably think they have achieved enough based on this, based on data analytics approach. Okay, so the other part is, I mean, I don't want to spread negativity starting here, and probably I don't want to even bring up this, but I mean, it's actually good to know, right? So how well we have started, and probably how we are actually performing, and what is the end result going to look like, right? So, but I mean, this case is a lot talked about. So you all know that since it's a current scenario, I thought like I'd present this. Else, I did not wanted to touch about this COVID at all. So one important issue that we obviously face is the contact tracing, right? Everyone seemed to be, everyone are in a situation where we face multiple questions, more than the, even when we step out, more is talked about, what is going to numbers looking like today, what is going to be, what it was yesterday and all that. So, I mean, the one important issue that we already face is more than the increase in numbers, and more than the data that's getting floated around daily. I mean, the contagious virus is more towards where, I mean, even the medicos have really no time to even prevent or even measure the intensity of the spread. To even have some tool in place, there is no proper, time that they have in hand and to get this done. So, and no, apart from this, there seem to be, none of the traditional methods or approaches seem to work, and that is one major issue. And when you talk in medical terms, the where the challenges is probably the asymptomatic cases probably seem to be a major issue here. And the sudden challenge is everyone might be aware that there are no people are losing facilities even to there are no time to even react or treat a patient in a proper note. So probably they do not have a facility in place, because I mean, since more than expected cases are getting infected on a daily basis, I know it's getting tougher as well. So I mean, and now right now, I don't think like people are only adding more to the challenges perspective, because everyone are more focused towards when these lockdowns will end rather than focusing on personal hygiene. I think the scenario should change, right? So the best approach here already is already in place, but the thing is that we do not have a proper coordination in place where we can prevent the spread. I think each and every one of us also should contribute towards this, right? So one is, I mean, the approach of creating a database of tracking the contract is already in, their system in place. But thing is that it is getting beyond expectations, right? So it is actually crossing the exceed expected limits. So that is where people can generate intelligent alerts, and probably officials can adopt this method where they can generate an alert based on the location mapping. Probably they will have an app right now, you all must be knowing about it. but I mean, to install it and to educate the people to probably use that, or to see or monitor how many are even using it is another big question. And in country like India, things are not working in a full-fledged mode, because many of us do adopt a culture where I mean, anything that the government is advising, right? So, but there are systems in place which works, then everyone will know about it and everyone will react to it. But something which is this has happened suddenly, and this is a culture where everyone are forced to get adopt to, right? So there, the awareness is not there, and probably data analytics here is going weird actually. Even if you have even if you have so much of predictions, so much of data to analyze and all that, uh, I mean, because of the end user behavior, you can say that things are not in control, right? So, having done with both the cases, one important thing is I've dropped as an CSE engineer, I'm sure that many of you would be interested in this domain already, even before this webinar, and probably you would also look at a career where you can shape your data analytics skills, and probably you wanted to march towards this. And this is for all of you, for all of such students who are here, this is the most important part of this presentation, right? So I've kept it at the end because you'd more relate to it, and probably you can uh, have more questions around this, right? So see, your career obviously starts as a uh, trainee in any company, and probably this is not oriented only towards HCL, because mm, I have friends in other companies as well, right? TCS and Accenture, Infosys, and everyone followed the same trend where there is no job for a fresher where you will end up right as an analyst, or you wanted to step into a business analytics domain. Certainly not. So probably the title fancies you more, and you all wanted to get dragged about this title oriented results, but certainly it is not to be, right? So you should start from ground zero as an engineer trainee. When you start as an engineer trainee, right? So the skills of programming skills should be of prime focus, where you will know the other skills, right? So there are other skills, like if you see, for example, in when you progress as from a from an engineer trainee to an analyst, you'll have all this data visualization statistics coming into play, and then you'll have programming logic and solutions, data engineering, business process solutions, and you go a step ahead to a data architect layer, where you will have data modeling, analytics, and all of this coming into place, and probably you end up as a data scientist. So this is not going to happen just like that, right? It's going to take you about 8 to 10 years and even more than that to land up in this space, right? So there you will have more of a predictive algorithm. You probably offer a consulting mode to your customers, right? So here you will have advanced statistics, descriptive statistics all coming into play. But you need not worry about all this, because people, when they hear about all this skill set, they get confused about where do I start now? So I have everything in place. So where do I start? So let me tell you about when you start as a fresher, right? You need not focus about all the statistics, modeling, architecture, and all. You can forget about all that. As a fresher, all that you need to focus on, right, is only on BI tools, the initial phases, right? So learn something about Power BI, learn something, but only if you are very good in Excel, only if you all know advanced Excel, you can probably you can transition your knowledge to the next step, right, of Power BI, Tableau, and all that, right? So also along with this, you should also know about R language, Python, databases like MySQL. There are many databases like MongoDB, Postgres, and all that. So you need not even worry about all that. So you need to start from basics. Like MySQL is very, very essential, and probably you'd have this as one of your syllabus also. I'm very sure about it. Probably you need to start only in this layer, and probably if you are able to master any one of the tools in the time that you have, and probably this is the best time where you can invest so much of time in learning actually. So if you're able to do that, and probably that will help you to move forward to the next layers, right? So even if you get a data analytics oriented job, you'll probably get a cadre of, initially you start as an engineering trainee, and people do not have to worry about, no, I'm not a business analyst like my friend and all that, because they would have landed in a business analytics because they would have worked somewhere for a year or two, then they would have gone about doing higher studies and then come back to a job with an MBA or something. So where you will have a business background in place, so they land up as a business analyst or something straight away. But as an engineering student, when you're not planning to do any higher studies, and probably you'll have this ladder to climb, and you can very well climb this ladder at ease. Okay, so there is a lot and said about how is a data analytics job looks like. So so what does it yield for me as an engineering student, right? So one thing that you need to know is this: data analytics job is actually doubled in year 2018 to 19, because the reason why I'm telling you this is, there is more awareness in place. So you all should know about this. And when there is an awareness already in place, you need to be worried about what am I going to do, where I create a niche for myself. Where do I create where do I stand out? So what capabilities do I possess? So my skills should stand out than the rest, right? In case if you're interested towards this, to walk this path, then you should have all this in mind, because the market has already started to recognize data analytics as the future, right? So you will have a tougher time when you come out of your colleges. So you'll have to keep that in mind. And also, if you see that the job scope is also increased, and if you see, it has increased by 30% in India and compared to rest of the world. Okay, so how about an experience? So people are more towards data analytics is only for only for those who are experienced and all that, because in the early webinars that I've given, people are asking me, okay, so this is more towards people who have experience. For that specific thing only I created the slide. So it is not for experienced actually. So it's less actually towards for the experienced candidates, because you probably start as a fresher, and then people with less than 5 years of experience do bag a very good say in the market, because they do wanted people with experience of less than 5 years. And if you're fresher, then they will very well welcome you, provided you have the proper skills for it. And if you see, I did not split this number into the higher, I did not split this number into more than 7 years. But if you take a split of this 39 percentage, people with experience of more than 7 years is actually reduced even more. It's only 17% out of this total count. So that is where it is. So you can also see a salary slab, because as a fresher, I would advise you not to focus too much into salary, because obviously your next time your obviously your next vision is I want placements and all that. And probably if you're done with your placements, then you would push yourself to the next level. What is the salary that I would get? And probably once you get a salary and get placed in a company, you probably wanted to move to the next step. That is a human intention. That is all understood, and we all agree with it. But all that I would say is, don't look at the salary slab here, and it's certainly higher than the other skills in the market. It will certainly yield you very good pay. But to start with, you probably have to fancy yourself with the right skill set that is required, where you can get placed in this domain. Okay, so the opportunities are there. Certainly, people have started to recognize skills of our language, Python. The reason why I've been telling you all this from the very start is, right, so this is the base. Python, our language, Hadoop, they form the core of this data analytics domain. So you probably climbed, and then whatever skills are there up to, next, you probably climb with this as a ladder and then move up. So that's why I've kept telling you that analytics job will more dependent on these two, right? So with this, I would like to close my session, and probably if you all have questions, we can take it in the next few minutes. I think we have 5 more minutes left, so you can come up with questions.
Thank you, sir. Some questions are there in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you. Can you mention the challenges that data analysts usually face while performing the analysis?
Yeah, so the primary thing that obviously any data analytics engineer would face, right? So is probably they would ask you what is your what is actually from how did you draw this result is probably everyone would be more focused on, because you are actually predicting a future, right? So there is no base logic in place, that logic might change from a personal to a personal, right? So the one basic thing is you probably need to have a proper the best logic that no one has applied to arrive at certain result. You are actually predicting a future, so you need to have a concrete base to it, right? So while doing that, while you have, there might be so I cannot just blindly go with the system. If I do a machine learning, for example, if I have a chatbot and I predict that this is going to yield me so much of a result, I should not just blindly follow that and I cannot quote it to my management. And probably I should have some cognitive thinking. I need to have a deep investment in it, and I should give it a very big thought and then probably decide on whether if it is certainly going to yield so much of result in the next few days. And if not, what is your interpretation? What do you think that something is going to get diverted from the actual? You need to quote that in the best possible way where your management is convinced. I think that is the best approach actually you need to follow. And you certainly would have challenges in this field. Yeah, I think I've answered the question. If not, they can ask again.
Okay, sir. The next question is, can you please mention the most popular tools used in data analytics?
Yeah, so in data analytics, probably see for that's what I've told you. The tools is initially at the initial phase, people adopt to more of Python R language as a base, which you would obviously you would learn even in your college graduations, right? You would certainly undergo these courses and you would probably have exposure to all this. At an industry level, when you step up into a data analytics field, you would certainly step up directly into analytic tools itself, like Power BI, which is Microsoft based tool, right? Apart from Power BI, there is Tableau, which there is a separate. They just hire you if you have Tableau. So people are there in the market, you are looking out for skills like that as well, right? So also, but no, apart from that, you will have a base probably in databases, and probably you'll have a very good say in the market, and probably this is more important actually. So these skills that I've quoted, and people, as I've told earlier also in my previous slide, right, don't be too focused on statistics. And probably, right, even when we started statistics, when we started to learn advanced statistics, descriptive statistics and all, we were actually referring to our engineering mathematics as a base to all that, right? So you all would also be in that situation where you would find, right, you all wanted engineering mathematics to get ignored at there and then and there only, but still it will keep following you. So if you are choosing this domain, then engineering mathematics will most welcome you actually into that. So you obviously have to learn statistics to propel forward. And for statistics, you obviously need to have your engineering mathematics base, and probably you'll have to build it based on that.
Okay, sir. Next question is any experience needed to acquire a job as data analyst?
No. See, you need not have any specific requirement as such. For example, let me tell you, even just before this call, I had a call with my AI ops team, so which means an artificial intelligence in operations. So we have a separate team for that, where we have hired engineering graduates fresh from the market, that too from an off-campus site. So, I mean, you would know that, in off-campus drive is a mixture of colleges where you would not be able to even categorize whether if the college is an A grade college, B grade or C grade. No, as far as I'm concerned, there is no grade as such because everything is dependent on an individual performance and how they deliver in the ground. But I mean, when you have an open pool to recruit people, you will have a mixture of talents, and probably you will have to get the best from the thousands of people that appear. And we have actually done that exercise. We have probably come up with 50 candidates as such to be working on this artificial intelligence. But I mean, there is no any prerequisite based on which we have hired them. And I'm sure that companies are like HCL, many in the market as well, where there is no focus towards any specific skill set. But there should be some base here, right? So as I've told, your databases forms your actual baseline for your next layer. So you need to be very concrete with the basics, and probably that's what we'd say. So to answer your question, to come straight to the answer, no prior experience is required, but probably a right skill set and a background is certainly needed.
Okay, sir. The next one is, what in predictor analytics?
Ma'am, I lost your voice in a between. Can you repeat?
Analytics. So are you able to hear me? Excuse me, sir, are you able to hear me?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Is that audible?
Hello. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes. One question from Professor Rixi.
Yes, please.
Does ECG signals come under unstructured data category?
Yeah, certainly it does come under unstructured, because see, when we divide a category of data into structured or unstructured, so one simple thing that we need to keep in mind is whether does a institution or a company or anyone do they have already a system in place to track this. And if you do not have a system in place or any tool set to support your records, you might have records in any form, right? So you can have records in terms of a ledger, you can have it in a record, you can probably have it even in a simple Excel sheet. But when you do not have a proper categorized or screened data in place, so it's obviously falls under an unstructured data.
Thank you, sir. One question from Lakshmi Priyanka.
Yes.
Any recent data analytics tools which is used in medical applications for making a survey on COVID-19?
Yes. Obviously, I mean, yeah. So there was a case also I've discussed, right? So certainly where people are predicting it, so when it will achieve a peak time and all that. So this prediction of that, let me tell you one frank question. So based on a survey also, before this presentation, I was also having a look at one of the survey links. So one of the leading business survey team, so they are already predicted that India would cross 3 lakhs in mid-June. So that's exactly what has happened. Actually, we are also way beyond that. We have crossed even 4 now. So the predictions based on the data and also the behavior of the end user, everything they actually take into account. And also there are other things in place, right? So what is your earlier the quantum of testing in India was low actually. So now the quantum of testing is on par and we are at peak of the situation. So yes, the quantum of testing is obviously improved. But yeah, this prediction has already gone through so much of processing, and data analytics certainly had emerged the moment when we started talking about this COVID-19 situation.
One question from the third MCA student Maharaja.
Yeah.
In modern trend, which codes or programs which help to enhance the knowledge about data analytics?
Yeah, so for any beginners, if you wanted to enhance more about data analytics, probably right. So you will have a skill set, a base skill set. So based on that, there are many online courses, right, where you can have access to free courses like through Coursera and certain other webinars, which you can find a very informative sessions on data analytics. And probably this 1 hour session will not do good, right? So probably you will need to have a more process oriented approach in driving you through data analytics, and probably to see what and each and every domain can offer. And probably if you are in case interested towards this, I would advise you to pick one of the online courses, probably get enrolled, and Coursera and many other Edureka and all of that offer a wide range of learning for you. So probably you need to go through it actually.
Thank you, sir.
One more question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Accuracy in predictive analytics.
Yeah, so accuracy in predictive analytics, certainly there is an error rate. Let me not tell you that it's an 100% prediction. So certainly not in any of the cases that is going to happen next as well, because there are situations. That's why I gave you a scenario of earlier one also, where you'd be able to compare a score predictor. So there was a simple based on this, there is a predictive analytics. There is a simple a calculator that has been used in a cricket World Cup, for example, that I've told earlier also. So there was that doesn't give you 100% exact prediction, correct? So their situation based will change based on the conditions, scenarios, and how based on the performance of an individual or so, something like that. But certainly it's not going to have an 100% success rate. Error percentage will be there, at least plus or minus 0.001 at least. So you are predicting what's going to happen next, so nothing, you cannot judge that this is going to happen next for sure.
Very patiently you answered all the questions. Very patiently you
Your
answered.
voice, yeah.
Now it's clear, sir?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Very patiently you answered.
My pleasure, ma'am. Thanks. So to everyone, actually, I believe that most of you are from Students Forum, right? So, in whatever domain, I'm not specifying only this, because I've given you insights into the salary or career progression, all that, because this was my topic today. But certainly you have much more scope, and today's scenario offers you a wide range of learning in many domains, actually. So in any field that you wanted to land, maybe in IT or anywhere, probably build on the basics. You probably have to be very strong in your basics and probably build on that. So wishing you all very success, right? So hope to see all of you in good places once you get placed. So my best wishes, and do well.
Thank you for your nice words, sir.
Thank you.
And now it is my pleasant duty to spell out the words of gratitude. First, I thank God Almighty for have blessed us with good health and resources to venture out this webinar series. We are always bounded to thank our Rector, Reverend Dr. Henry Jerome SJ, Secretary, Reverend Dr. Alphonse Manikam SJ, and Principal, Reverend Dr. S. Mariadas SJ, for their support in all our endeavors. The special thanks to our speaker, Mr. Karnakaran. Your presentation was very intelligible, sir. You went into a deep dive for showing us the rays of data analytics. The comments in the chat box reveal the same. On behalf of our department and college, our highest gratitude and appreciation to you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I hand over the session to our head of the department, Dr.
Thank you, ma'am. My
Chidambaram.
pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Now I invite Mr. Sethudas, the CEO of Inspire Pondicherry, to say a few words about this session.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening. Good
Well,
evening
welcome.
to all of you. Yes, sir.
Welcome,
Thank you,
welcome,
sir. Good evening to all of you. I'm extremely happy to see the kind of intense participation from students and faculty members as well. And all the faculty members and students, they asked so many questions in the chat box, and most of them said it's a very useful session. So if we have this kind of intense participation from students and faculty members, I think all credit goes to the department which organizes this. And we must mention, and we all have to thank Chidambaranathan sir for having organized this kind of webinar. And what I generally feel is now most of the students, they finish IT, and they are not able to find suitable jobs. That is mainly because of two reasons. One is they don't have enough skill sets. They finish graduation, but they're not able to identify or get good jobs because they lack in skills. So now there is a lot of statistics which says 75% of our engineering graduates or MCO or whatever, any graduate, so they are not employable because they lack certain skill sets. So it is mainly because they don't have that access or exposure to great things. Now, so if faculty members become continuous learners, if faculty members attend this kind of webinars, and if they have a lot of curiosity to learn from different sources, if that learning is transferred to students, I'm sure students will also start to show a lot of progress. Now, if you ask any student, so what are the IT companies do you know? They know just 5 companies. Everybody knows TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Cognizant, HCL. Beyond that, they don't know, because it is very important for them to go through newspapers, articles, magazines, and websites, and there are a lot of learning resources for them. If students go through those resources, I'm sure they will be able to learn much better, and they will also have a clarity about what is their core competency and how they could choose their career. So if they could identify their core competency, and if their career is chosen based on their core competency, I'm sure they will be able to win. Someone is very good at coding, someone is very good in analysis. So for those students who are very good in statistics and analytical skills, I'm sure this is a great opportunity for them. And I must extend
Some problem in this audio. Thank you so much, Mr. Sesu, for your kind words.
Hi, sir. Sir, I never knew that Sesu was here actually in this call listening, because I actually thought that he's like busy, held up in his. I mean, he's tightly held up daily, right? So I was.
Okay.
So to everyone, right? So Sesu was my manager in my Cognizant days. So when I
Yes,
joined
yes.
Cognizant Technology Solutions like about 8 years back, so he was my
Yeah, I
manager.
know. I know, sir. I know.
So I mean, it was
Yesterday he shared everything with me.
Yeah, it was pleasure to have him here.
Yeah.
And thank you,
Yeah.
sir. I mean, Nathan, sir, you're from the very start, you have been very kind to
Thank you.
our invitation and till the end of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And then now we close this day, and for your kind attention, the next online FTP on emotional well-being and managing stress will be on tomorrow evening by 4 to 5 p.m. Looking forward to meet you all again. Thank you so much.
Participants, the feedback link is available in the chat box. Fill them immediately and submit. You'll be getting the e-certificate. If you attend all the 6 webinars of this FTP series, you'll be getting an additional FTP certificate. The feedback link is available in the chat box. Kindly fill it immediately and submit. If you attend